the alley, boys. She's a wild one. Here she comes. Around one she goes, around two, and three. They're up, and she's headed home. Put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen. She just took the lead in the ladies' barrel racing tonight. Almost every town in Central Texas has a rodeo each year. With the pageantry of the flags, horses, and bull riders, the women shine in barrel racing. It looks easy just to turn around 3 barrels. As with any sport, there are rules, and knowing the rules helps you enjoy the event better. I have been barrel racing competitively for 13 years, and I'm a third-generation barrel racer. With a rich history, some specific rules, and great professionals, barrel racing is a beautiful mixture of humans and equine working together. Today we will discover the history of barrel racing, review the current rules, and meet some of the professional athletes known as barrel racers. First, let's discover where it all began. Barrel racing did not bring women to rodeo, in fact, just the opposite. In 1885, Phoebe Ann Moses, better known as Annie Oakley, became a star in the Buffalo Barrel Wild West show and opened up the world of rodeo to women. Soon after, women became the entertainment, the contract acts in the major rodeos in the early 1900s. The 1931 Stanford, Texas Cowboy Reunion, a weekend rodeo, decided to add girls 16 years and older that were sponsored by area businesses and represented the community which they came from. The young ladies were given prizes for 1. The best mount, 2. Most attractive riding outfit, and 3. Best horsemanship. The horsemanship was determined by riding in a figure 8 around barrels. In 1935, the Stanford event changed the barrel racing to a cloverleaf pattern, but it was not judged strictly by the shortest time until 1949. Mildred Francis, barrel racer pioneer, whose competitive years spanned the 1950s until 1971, said, "I think that barrel racing event in the beginning often took the place of contract acts that had been such an important part of rodeos in the earlier days. The girls in barrel racing event in our days always wore more colorful, flashy clothes, much like contract performers." When interviewed by Gail Warner in her 2014 article for the Wrangler Network. While there is no exact date of women's barrel racing beginnings, most people credit the Girls Rodeo Association, GRA, with starting the women's barrel racing in rodeo. The GRA was established in 1948 when 38 women met in a hotel room in San Angelo, Texas. They formed an alliance with the Rodeo Cowboys Association for women to run barrels at their sanctioned rodeos. There were 60 events that year. In 1981, the GRA became what is known as the WPRA, the Women's Professional Rodeo Association. Now 65 years later, the WPRA now sanctions over 1,300 events each year. With such rich history spanning over a century, you can better understand what women have been a part of rodeo for some time and how they brought their own sport into a man's world. Now that we've talked about the history of barrel racing, now we're going to review the current rules of barrel racing. The barrel pattern has specific measurements and rules you must follow. When women made the move from contract acts to competitive rodeos, used both the figure 8 pattern and the cloverleaf pattern. Over the years, the cloverleaf pattern has become the standard in barrel racing. With a cloverleaf pattern, the approach of the first barrel is a critical moment in executing a successful pattern. The rider must rate her horse's speed at the right moment to enter the correct path to make a perfect turn. The rider can decide whether to go to the left or right barrel first. Each turn in barrel racing should be relatively even, half circle around the barrel. As the horse sets up to take the turn, the rider must be in position as well, which entails sitting deeply in the saddle, using one hand on the horn and the other hand to guide the horse through and around the barrel. The rider's legs will be held closely to the horse's side. The leg to the inside of the turn should be held securely along the girth to support the horse's rib cage and give them a focal point for the turn. In approaching the second barrel, the rider will be looking through the turn and now focused on the spot to enter the second barrel across the arena. Now the horse and rider will go around the barrel in the opposite direction, following exactly the same procedures and switching to the opposite limbs. Next, running toward the back side of the arena, opposite of the entrance, and through the middle, they are aiming for the third and final barrel, in the same direction as the second barrel was taken, all while racing against the timer. Completing the third and final turn sends them headed for home. From the finish of the third barrel turn, the horse and rider have a straight shot back to the center of the arena, which means they must stay between the two other barrels. Once the timer is crossed, the clock stops to reveal the race time. Now the cloverleaf pattern, the 3 barrels set in a triangle formation, is completed. The WPRA 2017 rulebook states that the standard barrel pattern must be used. The standard barrel pattern is defined as 90 feet between barrel 1 and 2, 100 feet between barrel 1 and 3, and between barrel 2 and 3, 60 feet from barrel 1 and 2, and the score line. Score line should be at least 60 feet from the end of the arena, if arena allows, and not less than 60. But the measurements are not the only rules that the barrel racers must follow. There are over 1,000 specific rules in the rulebook about every conceivable aspect of the barrel race, from what the contestants wear to how they enter, the placement of the barrels, the placement of the cords and banners, all the way down to what the announcer can say during a run and how the payout money is to be divided. While most of the rule book pertains to the procedures of the rodeo, or producers of the rodeo, there are a few main rules that help a spectator better enjoy the barrel racing. The barrels must be 55-gallon steel drums with both ends. Plastic barrels and padding are not allowed. So yes, it really hurts when you hit the barrels, and as a barrel racer myself, I have plenty of bruises to prove it. My grandmother actually broke her kneecap in half by hitting a barrel in a race. Besides the pain and a nice bruise, you will also have 5 seconds added to your time if you knock over a barrel. If you have the misfortune of hitting 2, that will add 10 seconds to your time. An electric eye, a laser that the horse and rider break, is used to time the event, and times are given out in seconds down to the 1,000th of a second. As you can see, there is a lot of things a barrel racer must remember as she enters the arena on the back of her 1,200-pound horse, running at speeds of 25 to 30 miles per hour. But the rules are most important, and now you, as a fan in the stands, can better understand what you are watching. Now that we've discussed the history and the rules, let's meet some of the professionals. They make it look so easy, is what many say about professional athletes, and professional barrel racers are no different. At the top of their game, they can bring over several $1,000s in a year in multiple gold belt buckles. I would like to introduce to you a few of my favorite. Fallon Taylor on her website describes herself as the unicorn-obsessed, tie-dye wearing, outspoken helmet chick that is trying to change the world, or at least my part of it, for the better one person at a time. Born in Tampa, Florida, Fallon came to Texas at the age of 7 to begin her rodeo career, eventually becoming one of the youngest to qualify for the National Finals Rodeo, NFR. She took some time away from rodeo and moved to New York to become a model and guest star on sitcoms. Fallon returned to barrel racing and in 2009 suffered a near-fatal head injury after a late-night riding session. She overcame the 2% chance of walking that her doctors gave her and once again qualified for the NFR in 2013 and walked away with the gold champion buckle in 2014. Fallon has definitely made her mark on the barrel racing world as she was the first to wear a helmet in the NFR, a very controversial topic. Charmaine James is known for several major accomplishments, according to Steve Casey in his 2017 article, Who is Charmaine James? She was the youngest NFR barrel racing champion at the age of 14 in 1984, the first woman to ever wear a coveted number 1 at the NFR. This means she won more money than any other professional cowgirl or cowboy at the NFR. She was the first professional cowgirl to earn $1 million. She has won 11 national championships, the first 10 consecutively from 1984 to 1993. You cannot forget her famous mount, Scamper. Scamper was the first horse inducted into the Cowboy Hall of Fame and was successfully cloned before his death at the age of 35. While Charmaine has retired from professional barrel racing to focus more on her family and business, she still trains barrel horses. I've had the pleasure of running against and being beaten by her at several barrel races in the area. She is quite a horsewoman that made her mark on the professional barrel racing world early in her life, but continues to support and participate in the sport she loves. Martha Josie, in Meet the World Champions section of her website in 2009, shared that in 1967 she won 7 trailers and 52 barrel races in a row on her gelding. She qualified for her first NFR in 1968. Martha continued her success with her immortal gelding, Sunny Bit Both, and this powerful combination went to the NFR 4 years in a row, from 1978 to 1981. In 1980, Sunny set an all-time record of being the only horse in history to win the AQHA WPRA World Championships in the same year and continues to hold that record today. Inducted into the Cowgirl Hall of Fame in 1985, Martha Josie competed in the 1988 Olympic in Calgary, Canada, bringing home a medal. Martha has returned to NFR numerous times, the latest being in 1998, at the age of 60. Martha is a WPRA, AQHA, and NBAHA world champion and Olympic medalist. She still resides on her horse on her ranch in Marshall, Texas, where she hosts barrel clinics for aspiring barrel racers. While each of these 3 ladies has had great success in the barrel racing arena, they have all made a name for themselves in the business world. Professional barrel racing is quite an athletic profession and one that requires a lot of travel time, miles in a vehicle, seat in the saddle, and a side job to help pay for all those entries. These women, to me, are great examples of what those 38 women in San Angelo had in mind when they created what we know as WPRA. In conclusion, with such a rich history, some very special rules, and great professionals, barrel racing is a beautiful mixture of humans and equine working together. Today we have discovered a little of the history of barrel racing, review a few of the current rules, and introduce some of the professional athletes known as barrel racers. The next time you attend your area rodeo or barrel racing, and you hear the announcer, "Here she comes. Around 1 she goes. Round 2 and 3. They're up, and she's headed home." You will easily find yourself clapping and cheering them on, whether they take the lead or not. Thank you.